We are coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios. This is Prime News on SABC 3. Here's what's dominating in your leads at this hour.
It doesn't matter what the magistrate decide. The revolution continues.
The pre-sentencing hearing in the firearm discharge case against Julius Malema has been postponed to the 15th and 16th of April. It was an emotional mass memorial service for the 14 learners involved in the deadly Vaal accident. The learners' funeral services will be held in separate locations across the Vaal tomorrow.
The Bloemfontein High Court erred in declining to exercise its jurisdiction over Ms. Cholota on the sole basis that her extradition was requested by the NPA.
And the Constitutional Court has ruled that Moradi Cholota's extradition from the USA to South Africa was unlawful. However, this does not deprive the High Court of jurisdiction. Welcome to Prime News on SABC 3, where the threads of our world intersect. My name is Beki Mutumomolete, and I will be guiding you through the day's most significant currents. I invite you to stick with us as we navigate the stories that shape our shared reality. Let's get into your leads. Economic freedom fighters leader Julius Malema's pre-sentencing proceedings in his firearm-related case has been postponed to the 15th and 16th of April. The EFF leader was convicted last year of the unlawful possession of a firearm and ammunition, discharging a firearm in a built-up area, and reckless endangerment. Addressing his supporters following his appearance in the East London Magistrates Court, Malema said that the outcome of the court proceedings would not alter the broader political objectives of the movement, stressing that its revolutionary agenda must continue unabated. He urged supporters to remain focused on what he described as the fundamental priorities of the struggle, regardless of the magistrate's eventual decision. He added that he would neither be intimidated by legal processes nor retreat from his political convictions and ideological positions.
No matter what the magistrate decide, the revolution continues. We know why we are being attacked. We are attacked because we are the only black authority. We are the only black people who speak and other people listen. They do not listen to anyone except the EFF, even when they pretend not to love the EFF. But when the EFF speaks, every black person wants to hear. What did the EFF say on this matter? That's what white people are scared of. The white people who brought us to this court, it is because they don't like being challenged. When you challenge them, they want to use you as an example. I've been an example for the rest of my life, and I will be an example even in my grave. I will never retreat. I will never surrender to white supremacy.
Next up, it was an emotional mass memorial service for the 14 learners involved in the deadly Vaal accident. A Scholar Transport taxi slammed into a truck in Vanderbijl Park on Monday after trying to overtake several vehicles. The driver, 22-year-old Ayanda Dludla, faces multiple charges of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder, an amendment from the initial charges of culpable homicide. Dludla made his first appearance at the Vanderbijl Park Magistrates Court yesterday.
The one thing I'll never forget about my son is that he taught me how to love. He taught me how to show affection. He taught me how to love him. Yo.
As much as parents will get so irritated with us Kadi phone, the most beautiful gift that Buleng has left us as a family is her TikTok page.
Butle was a very lovely child. She was a person who was always laughing, and then she had a multi-talent, because I was really confused with which career is she following?
Gauteng Provincial Government, the Department of Education, Sports, Arts, Culture and Recreation, and the people of this province, I offer you our deepest, most sincere condolences.
Several funeral services for some of the 14 learners will be held at separate locations across the Vaal tomorrow. 18-year-old Pihelo Mutaung and 7-year-old Lesego Sefatsa's funerals will be held at Zone 14 Sebokeng in the Vaal. Other funerals to be held tomorrow are that of Sibongile Madonsela, Buhlale Lekekella, Buhle Khatebe, Leano Muilwa, and Naledi Mutsapi. On Sunday, Gauteng Premier Banyaza Lesufi will be amongst the mourners at a joint funeral of the other 3 learners at the Soltsotetsi Sports Grounds in Sebokeng from 9 in the morning. He is expected to deliver eulogy. In more related news, some parents were left frustrated this morning due to the stay away by scholar transport drivers operating in and around Lenasia in the south of Johannesburg. While some of them were forced to skip work to drop off their children at school, others turned away with their children due to low attendance at their schools. A number of scholar transport drivers have suspended their services in protest after some unroadworthy minibus taxis were impounded on Thursday.
Usually busy morning of children being dropped off at school by scholar transport drivers was quiet on Friday. Parents stood outside school gates, disappointed by the disruption in schooling due to the stay away by those who transport their children.
It's the waste of time, and my child was supposed to write a spelling test today. Now everything should stop because of this thing with the transport that are not in order.
Some of us who have decided that in 2026, I'll be driving my school to school for the whole year. I don't mind at all, because, these cars we have seen, some of them are not healthy at all.
Other parents say they had to change their planned morning schedules to ensure that their children get to school.
Most transporters, their cars are not supposed to be on the road. However, it is actually costing us time because I've got 2 daughters that uses the transport under in Apiwe. Anda's transport didn't come this morning, and then Apiwe's transport didn't come this morning. So I had to make sure that I drop her off and I dropped the other one off just now. So we're late today.
The Provincial Department of Education admitted that schooling has been impacted by the stay away.
In the Lenasia area as well, schools are recording a low turnout in terms of attendance. You will understand that that area, we don't have many schools in the areas, so transportation, it's one that is utilized.
Despite the inconvenience, parents are now hoping that this will also be a lesson to learner transport drivers to get their cars in order and prioritize safety over profit. Neria Shakutsa, SABC News, Lenasia.
Meanwhile, Gauteng Transport MEC Kidiboni Diale Tlhabella says that every road user is bound to abide by the rules of the road, and the scholar transport operators are no exception. She says those who led a protest against the impounding of unroadworthy, unlicensed and overloaded scholar transport vehicles are free to exercise their right, but such operations will not stop. Over 60 scholar transport vehicles were impounded during a law enforcement blitz on Thursday for not adhering to the regulations of the road.
Traffic was flowing on Friday with law enforcers still on the ground, conducting random stop and search operations, making sure that those who break the law are brought to book. The Gauteng Transport Department says lawlessness on the road will not be tolerated.
You want to kill our children. You are saying you must be given a right to kill children. We can't allow that. We are going to continue enforcing the law. They must be compliant. It's not true that we are not talking to them. There's a platform, they are represented. We can even tell you who's representing them.
Scholar transport associations say their concern is that rules and regulations change continuously.
That is overloading for us, because we were regulated and we're given that about the ages of the children. How are we supposed to load the kids in the car? But surprisingly, when we are being stopped on the road, funny things are being said about us. So now, maybe if we should start doing things, because now we are compromising a lot in this business, because now if we're going to start doing the business and start charging people by kilometer, I think parents won't even afford us anymore.
The associations say they are willing to sit down with government and find a workable solution so that children's future is not compromised. It is not clear as yet whether scholar transport operators will resume operations on Monday. Calvin Luther, SABC News, Johannesburg.
After the break, the battle is far from over for one of the accused in the Asbestos matter, namely Mahikeng's former PA, Moradi Cholota. More on this when we return. Welcome back to Prime News on 3. We continue to reflect on the following. The safety of learners who use scholar transport has been in the spotlight since the reopening of schools across the country. Recent incidents, including accidents and overloading, have highlighted the risks that learners are exposed to.
With some learners in Limpopo relying on scholar transport to get to school, the state of the vehicles is under scrutiny. Reckless driving, unroadworthy vehicles and overloading are serious challenges that learners face on a daily basis.
Just call upon the parents to every day monitor the transport that their children are using for the safety of the children.
Can we please all the transporter drivers to respect our job, make sure that our licenses are valid, our cars are in a good condition.
The Limpopo Department of Education is worried about scholar transport operators who continue to infringe on regulations.
Learners in the province, especially those that rely on scholar transport, is of priority to us. Let me indicate that in the province we are transporting 75,861 learners on a daily basis to and from school.
Limpopo Department of Transport says all vehicles transporting learners must be roadworthy with valid licenses. It has been inspecting scholar transport vehicles to ensure compliance.
We are continuing with our inspections operations. This is according to a program or a plan that we've drawn from the beginning of the year, just to ensure that we align with the reopening of the schools, but we're going to do it beyond that. And we do what we call roadblocks, where we inspect these vehicles for roadworthiness.
I'm Koke Chomodao, SABC News, Polokwane.
Meanwhile, in the northwest, private scholar transport operators in Mahikeng are at loggerheads with the Department of Transport in the province after some of their vehicles were impounded by traffic officials. The department has cited reasons of scholar transport operators not having the requisite operating permits to transport learners as a result of the temporary confiscation. But the transport operators in response alleged that the Transport Department had failed to issue these permits despite them submitting their applications.
Frustrated scholar transport operators have organized and united following the alleged unwarranted impounding of scholar transport vehicles.
Yesterday my car was taken and they said they want 3,000 at the impound. So I don't have 3,000. I've paid for the installment and service. So I don't have 3,000. What am I going to do because they have taken my livelihood? They say they want a permit that allows me to transport learners, which they never issued to us. We applied for it last year, but still this day there is no avail.
These operators say their services will be suspended from Monday until this impasse is resolved.
Starting from Monday, we will not be able to transport learners to school up until we conclude our matter with the NEC. This is because when we are on the roads, our vehicles are impounded, and 3,000 rands is equivalent to the installment we pay the banks for the cars.
Since last year, we've
tried to get a way forward. We even wrote a letter to them to find a way forward or park our cars and remain unemployed. There are many people depending on us. All we want is permits so we can operate freely.
Sintle Englihihi, SABC News, Mahikeng.
In other news, the battle is far from over for one of the accused in the Asbestos matter, namely Mahikeng's former PA, Moradi Cholota. This as the Constitutional Court has ruled that her extradition from the United States of America to South Africa was unlawful. However, this does not deprive the High Court of jurisdiction.
The Constitutional Court has affirmed the legal position that it is the executive, i.e. Minister of Justice, that holds the power to extradite fugitives from foreign states, not a functionary power such as a national prosecuting authority. This, however, does not bring Moroadi Cholota's legal woes to an end, as the same apex court further found that this fact can't be the sole basis for her not to face trial.
The Bloemfontein High Court erred in declining to exercise its jurisdiction over Ms. Cholota on the sole basis that her extradition was requested by the NPA. For this reason, the appeal must succeed.
The matter was subsequently remitted to the Free State High Court in Bloemfontein, who is seized with the matter. While the NPA may be vindicated on its contention that the court has jurisdiction, this judgment has implications for extraditions going forward.
The task now that we've been given is to reflect legally on the implications of the other matters that are affected or may be affected by the judgment, because it is now settled law that only the national executive can formally make an extradition request.
Cholota charges that she is ready for the journey ahead.
I look forward to the restart of this trial, and I think it's going to give the opportunity that the whole truth comes out.
The criminal matter continues. Kani Mapanga, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Western Cape authorities have warned of an impending drought across the province, with the South African Weather Services predicting lower than average rainfall for a second consecutive year. The Provincial Department of Local Government says that water management systems are lagging in a number of municipalities, contributing to the current water crises. The Premier requested a second provincial disaster declaration from national government in aid of the water issue.
The Western Cape Premier says the province needs additional resources to sustain water supply through the dry summer season. The Southern Cape and areas within the Karoo are hardest hit. In Knysna, the situation is dire.
We have a number of towns that are definitely in that disaster space, where they themselves are also calling for a local disaster. Now we'll be calling for a provincial disaster. Primarily, I think of Knysna, where they're getting down to days' worth of water.
Government says a lot of municipalities have too much losses within the system.
The municipalities must sit down and bring down their water losses by putting in extra plumbing teams, by walking their lines, and look at the big water losses to fix that as soon as possible.
Bradell says municipalities cannot impose water restrictions and at the same time are unable to account for up to half of its water supply, as is the case in Knysna.
The current demand, given the work that we've done there over the last 2 months, is now 9 megalitres a day, and that's the lowest that it has been. It's on average 12 megalitres. But the biggest problem with Knysna is that they lose 7.9 megalitres through pipe burst, water losses.
The current dam levels across the province are at 58%, compared to 80% during the same period last year. Mariska Botha, SABC News, Cape Town.
Thank you for staying with us. The attention that South Africa received from the United States following false claims of a white genocide in the country seems to have sparked interest in Americans to visit South Africa. That's according to Tourism Minister Patricia de Lille. She was speaking at a panel discussion at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland.
South Africa has received a lot of attention from the Trump administration in the past year over disagreements over the G20 and false claims of racial persecution in the country. However, this seems to have sparked interest amongst Americans to visit South Africa.
With all this animosity in the past year between ourselves and the United States of America, the result of that is there's no tariffs in tourism. So we've seen America taking the #1 spot in terms of visitors, arrivals in our country.
Brand SA Chairperson Ipileng Silele says South Africa has what it takes to grow the sector and it just needs to build on the momentum already there.
From an investment perspective, especially from South Africa, we're so diversified. We don't have to overmarket ourselves. So I think we've got what it takes, and all that we have to do is to use and build on the momentum that we've already started.
The World Economic Forum's Charlotte Boutbol says foreign direct investment in tourism has dropped and that this needs to be turned around.
We need to find ways to create new vehicles for investment, meaning that how you bring like the private sector and the public sector together to bridge this gap.
South Africa prepares to host the World Economic Forum Spring Davos next year, along with other events such as the Cricket World Cup and jazz festivals. Gloria Sefakomosi, SABC News, Davos, Switzerland.
It is now time for us to chart the skies, one cloud formation at a time. Let's cross over to the weather desk for your weekend weather forecast. Coming right up.
Thank you very much and a very warm welcome to the weather desk. We're seeing partly cloudy skies over the eastern provinces of South Africa this evening, as you can see according to our latest images, and some cloudy skies along the coastal areas of KwaZulu-Natal, especially in the south. And there is also just a slight chance of some few passing thunder showers in places over the eastern parts of the northwest in Gauteng, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, the eastern Free State and KwaZulu-Natal, with only a slight chance of rainfall as well in the wild coast of the Eastern Cape. And we're still expecting a similar weather pattern for tomorrow, starting off with some fog patches over the eastern high-lying areas of the country. Afternoon isolated thunder showers once again in the eastern parts of the northwest, throughout Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Gauteng, the eastern Free State, and some areas in KwaZulu-Natal, especially over the high-lying areas of this province. And further westwards, clear weather conditions will persist for the rest of today. And fires are also expected in the Northern Cape. And here overnight, we're expecting mostly pleasant conditions along the east coast and the low-veld. Temperatures are 22 at Tegwin and Richards Bay, 21 in Palabura, and 20 over Musina. Johannesburg is dropping to 15, a minimum of 12 degrees for Bethlehem, 15 over DI and Bloemfontein, and the city of Cape Town is dropping to a minimum of 16 degrees overnight. And these similar temperatures can be expected over Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape, a minimum of 18 though for East London and Port Shepstone, and towards Uppington in the Northern Cape, we're expecting a minimum of 18 degrees, and it's rising to a scorching 39 degrees over Uppington, but pleasant conditions along the coast of the Northern Cape. In Alexander Bay, we're expecting a maximum of 25 degrees. Another pleasant day for the mother city, reaching a high of 29 degrees, 26 over Gqeberha, and 27 degrees over the city of Etegwin. And here in the Gauteng province, mostly warm weather conditions with an average of 30 degrees for tomorrow afternoon. And that is all from the weather desk.
The final whistle has blown and brought our bulletin to a close. We thank you for your audience. Let's do this again next week. And until then, from myself, Becky, and the team, have a good weekend. Take care.